Today is Tuesday, April 9th, 2024, and this is the Dunkley Report International News. Please like, subscribe, and share so you don't miss any of the latest news. Austria faces its biggest espionage scandal in decades as the arrest of a former intelligence officer brings to light evidence of extensive Russian infiltration, lax official oversight, and behavior worthy of a spy novel. Egisto Ott was arrested March 29th. The 86-page arrest warrant alleges, among other things, that he handed over high-ranking Austrian officials' cell phone data to Russian intelligence, helped plot a burglary at a prominent journalist's apartment, and wrote up suggestions for improvement after a Russian-ordered killing in Germany. Ott is suspected to have provided sensitive information to Jan Marsalek, a fugitive fellow Austrian wanted on suspicion of fraud over his role in the collapse in 2020 of German payment company Wirecard. Media outlets in Mozambique say that a makeshift ferry overcrowded with residents reportedly fleeing a feared cholera outbreak has capsized off the country's northern coast, killing at least 98 people, including children. The ferry, with an estimated 130 people aboard, capsized Sunday after it departed the southeastern African nation's coast for the nearby Island of Mozambique. State-run Radio Mozambique quoted island administrator Silvério Nauaito as saying that at least 11 people were hospitalized. The Noticias newspaper quoted Nauaito as saying most of the dead were recovered Sunday, but an additional 7 bodies were found Monday, bringing the death toll from 91 to 98. Haiti's national police says it has recovered a hijacked cargo ship laden with rice following a gun battle with gangs that lasted more than 5 hours. Authorities said Sunday that 2 policemen were injured and an undetermined number of gang members killed in the shootout off the coast of the Port-au-Prince capital. Saturday's recovery was a rare victory for an underfunded and police department that has struggled to quell gang violence following a spate of attacks that began February 29th. Police said those responsible were members of 2 groups, the 5 Seconds Gang and the Taliban Gang. Russia and Ukraine are trading fresh accusations over renewed threats to Europe's largest nuclear plant that has been caught up in the war. Moscow alleges Ukraine was behind drone attacks on the facility that were witnessed by UN inspectors. Kiev, meanwhile, accuses Russia of disinformation tactics. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov on Monday called the drone attacks on the plant in Russia-occupied southern Ukraine a very dangerous provocation. The UN's atomic watchdog agency on Sunday confirmed drone strikes on one of the plant's 6 reactors, but did not attribute responsibility to either side. An official at Energoatom, Ukraine's atomic energy company, blamed Russia for the attacks, saying they were a provocation orchestrated to malign Ukraine. The Spanish government says it will scrap so-called golden visas that allow wealthy people from outside the European Union to obtain residency permits on investing more than €500,000 in real estate. Socialist Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said his minority coalition government would study the reform in the weekly cabinet meeting Tuesday. Sanchez said the reform was part of the government's push to make housing a right, not a speculative business. The government says some 10,000 such visas have been issued since the measure was brought into law in 2013 by a previous right-wing Popular Party government as a means to attract foreign investors. Golden visas are strongly criticized for spurring price hikes and speculation in the housing sector. The UN Security Council has revived the Palestinian Authority's hopes of joining the United Nations as a full member. But the United States says relations between Israel and the Palestinians are far from ripe. The U.S. is one of 5 permanent members who can veto any council action. Its objections are expected to quash the Palestinian Authority's hopes for now. Members of its UN delegation reiterate that the Palestinian Authority needs to exert control over all of the Palestinian territories. They say the Palestinians must negotiate statehood with Israel before the Palestinians win statehood. International leaders have condemned Ecuador after police in the capital, Quito, broke into the Mexican embassy to arrest a former vice president who had been granted political asylum. The raid Friday prompted Mexico's president to break off diplomatic relations with Ecuador. Diplomatic premises are considered foreign soil and inviolable under international treaties, and host country law enforcement agencies are not allowed to enter without the permission of the ambassador. Police broke through the external doors of the embassy to arrest Jorge Glass, who had been residing there since December. He had sought asylum after being indicted on corruption charges, and it had been granted hours earlier. Nicaragua is calling on the United Nations top court to halt German military aid to Israel, arguing that Berlin's support enables acts of genocide and breaches of international humanitarian law in Gaza. The case at the International Court of Justice is against Germany, which is the second largest supplier of arms to Israel after the U.S., but it also indirectly takes aim at Israel's 6-month-old military campaign. The war has left tens of thousands of Palestinians dead and devastated Gaza. Nicaragua's allegations represent the latest legal attempt by a country with historic ties to the Palestinian people to stop Israel's offensive. South Africa has accused Israel of genocide at the court. They come amid growing calls for Israel's allies to stop supplying the country with weapons. Thank you for joining us here at the Dunkley Report International News. Don't forget to like and subscribe for the latest breaking stories.